which is so beautiful because when you're in service and you give, you receive. And so it's, again, that beautiful cyclical thing. So that's what I'm focusing on.
All right. And my follow-up to that one is the question, how do you balance self-love with self-improvement? Can you do both?
Yeah, I think, well, you got to start with the self-love. So you can be accepting of, you know what, today wasn't a great day, but tomorrow will be better. There's so many times where I prepare for a scene and I go and we're about to shoot and I'm like, oh, why did I do this? I don't think it's the right choice. I'm like, Chrissy, just go and do it, right? Just do it. And if the director says something different and redirects you, it's not personal. It's a collaborative art, it has nothing to do with you, just figure it out. And so if you can love yourself on that journey, you don't have to be so hard on yourself when you make, I don't even want to say mistakes, they're just choices that weren't the best choice. So I do think that you gotta love first, and then it's much easier to improve that way.
That's great. And this is a sort of a follow-up to that also. It says, if you have a day when confidence is low, how do you give yourself a boost?
Well, it's one of those things. I have a lot of really great friends who remind me and reel me back in, and they're like, Chrissy, do you know all those things that you tell people all the time? Why aren't you reminded? And you need to tell yourself that. I'm like, oh yeah. But it's the ego and the pride that gets in the way and really tries to sabotage. And it's not true, you know? So it's just not true. We make up these stories in our minds. And so I start there. I listen to music. I love music. Yeah, and sometimes I write my feelings, you know, instead of like just flushing it out, or talk to someone.
All right, and I will ask one more here. It says, I'm a big fan of American Horror Story. Many of the actresses return in different roles. Any chance we'll see you again?
You know, that is a Mr. Murphy question. That would be amazing. I don't know if we'd find time with, you know, being surgery there on This Is Us, but I would love to. And somehow they're always sort of milling about in the series, but I don't know. We'll see.
And several people asked this question: what advice would you give to your younger selves?
I guess it would be that nothing is personal, and yeah, nothing is personal. The way that everybody conducts their lives doesn't necessarily have anything to do with me, and I can make it personal, and I can sort of be in that reeling depression and wanting to be angry, and somebody cuts me off, they might be visiting somebody in the hospital, or they might have to use the restroom. How about that? This is not about me. Not everybody's thinking about me all the time. Imagine that. So, you know, and case in point, I was in our transpo van with an actor, and he gets in, and I text Donnie, and I'm like, he didn't say good morning to me. Not on the show, and not anybody on the show. And he was like, well, you don't know, like maybe he didn't see you. I'm like, how do you not see me? I'm the only other person in the van. Of course, I had to make it about me. And I was like, hold on. I was like, you know what? Let's pray. And when I say let's pray, it's like getting back to that still small voice and that quietness and just like, Chrissy, who knows? And sure enough, he gets out of the van. He's like, I didn't even see you there. And I'm like, okay. Do tell. I had my headphones on, I was texting my wife, and I'm like, imagine that. And like, and even if he didn't want to say good morning to me, maybe he was in the zone, maybe he was in another place, maybe he's feeling anxious, who knows? But my part is to be, even if he's angry and he could be mad at me, is to be gracious and to understand rather than to be understood, to love rather than to be loved, and like that's how I try to live my life, because it's just not personal.
Yeah, and one final question from me. What is it that's going to happen on the show next season? Just dying for us to know.
Thanks so much for coming. Really nice having me. Actually, oh gosh, there's so much happening. I'm sorry if there's some folks who haven't seen the finale, but close your ears. We see that Toby might be going through something.
Well, they've seen it.
I'm being very cryptic, I'm trying anyway. That Toby's going through something, and I think it's really smart that now that Kate has really come on the other side of letting her father go and making room for Toby, that she's there for him in his time of need, and that's what I think a really beautiful relationship. That's why it works, but we don't know what that is, and or why that's happening, and we will find that out. I think that there are discussions about trying to conceive again. We also see Kevin with a really gorgeous girl on a flight somewhere. Where are they going? I know. We see Randall in the future, aged, and he asks Tess, why aren't you going to come see her? You have to see her. Who is her? It could be anybody. And they're so clever. That's just the brilliance of these writers and of Dan. We're delving really, really deep into the other characters, aside from the big three, mom and dad. And you really get to know what's going on. And it's going to be really good and really special, per usual, but very unexpected as well. Like, I was shocked by Kate's storyline, so a dum.
Well, we can't wait to see it because you are an extraordinary actress,
Oh,
and you are
thank you.
also just such a wonderful